So here's what you're going to do. You're going to get roofing nails about this size. You're going to poke them into the sign ahead. You're going to have about 50 of these in your back seat. You're going to have somebody driving. You're going to have a hammer in your hand, and you're going to pick an artery where there's a lot of closed businesses at the end of the street. You're familiar with that if you're in Detroit? So now the driver pulls in. I'm going to grab the telephone pole that's right in front of the stop sign. So the street's feeding out into the main arteries. This sign's going to go up, and it's going to be bing, bing, bing. I'm going to grab the sign like this, put it up on the post. I'm going to put it up on the post about this high. A lot of people want to put them 8 feet up so that low-flying airplanes can read them. I want them at this high level that they can see them. You're going to put these in like that, and they're going to stay up. Notice the correlation. That's the grooves are this way. So when you order your signs, you want to make sure the correlation of the signs going this way. Otherwise, if you get it like this, it'll wrap around the pole with the wind. I had signs in Detroit that were 8 years later, I was getting phone calls on them, okay? So you want to, now, you want to get a phone number that's a Twilio phone number, or you want to go to Walmart and buy a throwaway phone. You want to put the phone number on it. And you probably want to use more than one set of phone numbers. Now, why do you want to do that? If you get nailed, what do you do with the cell phone? You throw it out the window, and you're done. Okay, so you limit your exposure. Now, why am I saying this? Is because I was arraigned 18 times in the city of Detroit, 18 times in Easter. I paid my son $2 for every sign he put up, and he didn't care where he put them up. And I didn't know where he put them up either. And he put 2,000 of them up. So when they called me and said, get your sign down, I was like, oh. All with the same phone number. I went, oh. So it was not good. And I went in front of the judge. And I never let my son put another sign up for me. And I never ever had another problem after that because I put the signs where I didn't upset anybody. If it's a manicured yard, you're not going to do it. If it's a block club, just what Jeff said, you're going to go to the service station, you're going to put on the telephone pole on their lot facing the pumps. Because they got time to look. Go to the dollar store, you're going to put on their telephone pole facing the dollar store. So you see how you can get in good areas? If I'm in the burbs, or let's say I'm out like on US 23, then I'm going to put on the service drive along the freeway, but I'm going to put it where there's a stop sign, there's a farmer's property across the street, but traffic backs up at 5 o'clock there. So you want to just look and see where other signs are up and see where you can put it up. And I tested this everywhere. I didn't discriminate, like West Bloomfield, Bloomfield Hills. And there's places in those areas that you can put signs up, but you gotta look, and you gotta look at the property. I found that party stores and service stations, they won't bother you because there's one person working the cash register and they don't really care. So I can put my signs up and not have issues. Okay? Now, question?
Yeah. So I see you got the sign, you got a house cash fast. What's the typical customer that calls that number, willing to sell a house?
Okay, so I also market on the internet, and the same question was asked me earlier today. I get better leads off my internet leads than I do off of the sign leads.
No, I'm saying, so if I'm a consumer riding by, I see that sign, I want to sell a house.
Yeah.
What's the next step? What's the process we're going to go through to do this?
Well, and Todd says it's pathetic when I answer the phone. They call me and they ask me, my phone's back there, normally I play it, but I just, first of all, the phone number I've used is a Tracker Jack number. So I put Tracker Jack on it because when my phone rings, it says cash call. And it's saying to them, when they call, this call might be recorded for quality purposes, okay? So now I know I've got a cash call, so now I can answer the phone cash calls. But I usually just say, this is Mark, how can I help you? And they say, well, do you buy houses for cash? Yes, we do. And then I've got a partner, his name's Todd, or his name's this, his name's Eric, and they'll be out, he'll come out immediately, he'll call you right back, and then I gather information from him, the number of bedrooms, why he's selling, and I just ask questions, which we're going to give you a lead sheet, an intake sheet, and show you what you'd say. I'm also going to give you a script on what you can say to them. But you're just asking questions, and they're willing to give you the answers. And then, for me, I'm turning it over to him, but when I used to do this, and I would go, in this business, you have to go immediately to meet with the customer, because real estate is not taken in slow motion. When there's a deal, I guarantee you, when Eric gets a deal, he's setting an appointment to be there as quick as possible, especially if he thinks it's a good deal. Like he's on his way there to the house.
We had one last month on Faircrest, right?
Right next to each other.
Yep, he bought it.
I got the same lead, the one you bought.
Yeah, so that's how I
I
got the
said
lead
him-
from Mark, and then I couldn't set the appointment for whatever reason, because the reason was because she was talking to him also. So
I want
he
you to
got
know
it
that I'm not upset at you.
He got it.
Where's your car parked?
But he got it under contract, but the same person owned the house next door, and then I got that one under contract. And so, and I didn't know it was his, and I almost stole it out from under him, but then I found out it was his. So I wouldn't do that to him. I almost got it. And then I got the house, I'm working on the house across the street. So,
That's a good question. When you guys get it under contract, are you getting it under the $1,000 earnest money? Is that what you're talking about?
No, we
No.
don't even know what that is.
we got, we just haven't signed a purchase agreement,
Saying that you're gonna buy it in
that we're gonna buy it in so many days, and
Let me help you.
Yeah, got it.
In real estate, the purchase price is the consideration. Do you even have a spot for deposits on your purchase agreement?
nope.
He doesn't know what that is. So the only time you're ever gonna run into somebody wanting to talk about a deposit is when you pull up front and there's a Century 21 sign in front of the house. Now, I'm a realtor, so I cannot talk to that person. That's the only disadvantage about being a realtor, but that's happened to me I can hold up my hand very few times. So, but what I could do is say, you're not a realtor? You're a realtor. You're not a realtor. I give it to Kevin. Because the owner's the one that called me, they're motivated. The realtor's not really handling it properly, so you can handle that situation too. Does everybody follow?
So you make the seller pretty much sign a contract saying you buy the house in 30 days, right?
Correct.
Maybe.
At any point, what's the stipulation of them changing their mind and wanting out of the contract?
They can.
They can't. So what about if you don't buy it in 30 days?
Well, I have ways to, I could always extend it, I could renegotiate a lower price. Or we could just, they can take my earnest money deposit
Right.
that I didn't give them.
Yeah. We found that these, by the way, we didn't say this on the Bandit signs, these were the most effective for us, if you put them the right way. The smaller signs were not as effective, so that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, but I mean, you don't want to get in that habit of not closing on deals, right? So you got to make sure it's a good deal, or you tell them up front that there's many times I said, this is going to be tough, and they know I work with other investors, they pay more than I do, things like that. I need to bring them through this a few times, and so they kind of know that I'm not the one that's going to be buying it. I have investors I work with out of state, out of the country, and they pay more than I do. And then if they go through it and they don't like it, then I say, man, they don't like it either, whatever. And I try to renegotiate a little bit lower, or we list it on the MLS. There's a few things we could do.
So you're buying homes without mortgages, or you're buying homes that the customer is selling out of cash for also?
Yeah, you're buying house. Oh, some of them might have mortgages on them.
Okay.
Yeah, it just depends on where it's at. Yeah, and how much they owe and things like that.
So is there, in the event that you can't buy the house in the time frame that you specified, is there any kind of recourse that the person that you promised you were going to buy the house from can take against you?
They
No.
can take my earnest money deposit. It says in my contract.
The invisible earnest money, okay.
Yeah, so here's the deal. When I was actively buying them, and I'm majorly actively buying them, I would tell them that I used to carry with me a list of the houses that I bought and sold, but I'm not writing an offer on a house that I don't feel I can move. And I would tell them it's gonna be another investor buying. I had no issues getting it signed. And, but if you're, anybody that looks young, you may have some issues, so because like, they're not gonna trust the situation, especially if it's an older person, so you may wanna talk about your partner in the deal or something that's
I
combined.
deal with that with Medicare every day.
So,
It's not a problem.
Spray some gray hair on your mustache.
Was that?
Spray some gray on your mustache.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
so leads, signs are excellent. Craigslist is another great place. We'll get some Craigslist leads on Saturday, so you can call them. Networking, like going to the Renegade meeting. Driving for dollars is good. Auctions is good, like we just talked about it. Foreclosure list, we talked about. Bill's your guy. Probate list, on next week, on Wednesday, we have the following month, we have a probate attorney in Auburn Hills. So in March, on the third Wednesday, we have a probate attorney coming. Really, you want to think of it like this. So like with the probate attorney, it's how do you go develop a relationship with a probate attorney, okay? In my case, I haven't done it yet, but I plan on doing a seminar, workshop for attorneys that are probate attorneys on how to market their business. So, because I'm going to show them how to do it on the internet, all the different little tricks and stuff. But what do I really want to do? I want to meet some probate attorneys that I can work with, and I horse trade around and do that. Because, you know, like a typical, let's say you're an investor and you die and your estate goes into probate. That attorney, his number one item is to get a fee and get it liquidated, okay? So he's going to abate some of the properties you've got, maybe if they're in Detroit or something. Now, abate means that the estate is walking away from the property. They don't care about the property. So once you get to know some probate attorneys, you can find out what properties are getting abated and then work out some deals to be able to buy them, because there's deals there. So probated estates is a great place to go. We're going to give you a video on just leads. It's going to be for 2 hours on how to generate.
Do you work with the city offices, the assessing departments a lot, or no?
Yeah. The only relationship I ever had with the city was city inspectors. And then I attended in Pontiac, I attended all the demolition hearings because I had a relationship with the councilman to pull the house off the demolition list. So people that were having their property demolished, they were more than willing to cut a deal with me. So
I worked with the assessing office for 20 years. You have all those tax auctions and all that. You don't have any part of that?
not today, I don't. In the past I did, but if you've got relationships there, you're setting up a gold mine. So we're going to give you a video on this. Just a few places to find sellers or buying properties. The Bandit signs, probate estates, bail bondsmen, because people are in trouble when they're going into jail. So if you know bail bondsmen, you can find deals. The mailman knows everything. They know who's in foreclosure. They know by the mail they've got, what kind of problems they've got. Networking groups, divorce attorneys, anybody that's going in divorce is headed for problems with their property. Networking meetings, unemployment office, figure out a way to get a sign in the van parked in front of the unemployment office that says I buy houses for cash. Park benches, I've had park benches made and dropped off on major corners in the city of Detroit. Most of them stayed up for 6 years. On my park bench that said I buy houses for cash. And it was a community service project, and nobody ever called me and thanked me, but it would make me feel good.
You know, there's people hiring Uber drivers, you know, to drive for dollars for them now, which is a good idea. Garbage men or women or whatever would be a good idea, you know, because they're see these houses as,
They know who's on.
you know, the houses that might, you know, you just teach them what you're looking for.
Mailman?
And you can give them, yeah, and you can give them a certain phone number, like Mark was doing before, something that, or, yeah, they could text you the address, you know, they could follow those leads, because nothing makes me happier is paying someone a commission for a lead. Or, you know, well, I don't pay anyone commissions, I'm sorry. Anyways, carry on.
He's heard that
Yeah.
some people pay for leads. Yeah. So now, here's your opportunity to meet the guy that picks up your garbage. I mean, does it get any better than that? Go out and give him a tip. Put more garbage out than you normally put out, and go out and give him a $20 bill or something, say you want to buy breakfast, and see if they'll give you some other places. So, public adjusters, we had one here at the last meeting. There's about 168 of them in Michigan. And when you have like an insurance claim, if one side hires a public adjuster, then the insurance company hires one. But they get all kinds of deals on houses, places that have had fires. We have a relationship with one right now where he's giving us a lead on a house. And what city was that?
Oh, Ypsilanti.
Ypsilanti. So there's, when a house burns or has a problem, there's an automatic set aside of 15% of the insurance money that's left on the house. In this case, it's $11,000 on the Ypsilanti house, and the lady's taking all the money. So she's walking away from the house. So, and there's still money sitting on it. So, foreclosures, we talked about that a little bit. Demolition list, I talked about that. Code enforcers, you can get good leads for. Mortgage brokers, MLS listings, if you've got the license, you can look for, you can do searches on the MLS with keywords like handyman, probate, divorce. And that was my only way of buying properties for a long time. I had a financial partner. He would buy anything I wanted to buy. And all I did was search for stuff on the MLS and make ridiculous offers. And I would have, every day I would have realtors calling me up swearing at me that their client would never take that. But 6 months later, they would call me back and say, is your offer still good? So it's just farming, okay? So if you've got access to the money, that's a great way to do it. Email broadcast, if you pull that list of people that are in trouble and then you start emailing them, if you've got a way of getting those lists, which Maureen has, and there's certain things you can get to do that. People in jail, I bought houses off of them, especially a landlord in jail, it didn't get any better than that. Because he's motivated. Pawn shop owners, what do people go into pawn shops for? You're gonna go in there and put your big bottle of hand sanitizer and a sign right in front of it that says you buy houses for cash and give it to the pawn shop owner. So I had a guy that delivered papers for the Oakland Press, so he went to all the party stores. I just cut him on a deal. Remember, you now get a Twilio number, so you can track those calls separately and split money with them. And he can, if you're recording those calls, he can get a copy of it, and you can keep him informed of what you're doing. So there's lots of ways to generate leads. So how to negotiate a deal, that was asked earlier, what happens. We're gonna spend like 3 or 4 minutes on negotiating, and maybe that's something you could talk a little bit more on Saturday about.
Yeah.
So I kind of told you how I did it. I would go to their house. Remember, first of all, I'm chasing ugly houses, distressed sellers. You know, I'm looking for situations. I'm going to meet a lady where they dumped a dump truck load of sand in her basement because she had 20 cats and it was a permanent litter box, so the house had a smell to it. I'm going to a house where the water's pouring out the basement windows because the tenant moved out and stuffed rags down the drain and turned the water on so you could create an aquarium or something. I mean, it was like our house full of debris that you couldn't do, or that. Oh, this is good for you. Well, everybody in this room qualifies to hear this. Used to be on the airlines, they gave you real silverware. It was incredible. I went to a house and my feet stuck to the floor and went shh, shh. They had a baby laying on the floor, had cats and dogs and stuff, and it smelled really bad. And she had all these boxes stacked up.